First of all, I've said this, and I want to welcome everybody to the Texas Bluebonnet Arts and Crafts Zoom Spotlight presentation. We're very excited to have Lynda Heines tonight. And again, I've asked all the attendees to please mute their buttons. As we go through Lynda's presentation, if you have questions, just use the chat button and we'll stop, we'll read the question, and Lynda will be more than happy to answer if you have any questions. At the end of the presentation, we'll open it up to question and answers, and then everybody can have a chance to ask questions or talk about something that's important in the textiles techniques to them. Lynda is our Spotlight virtual program tonight. I'm going to give a real short introduction to Lynda. Is a well-known textile artist who created ice dyeing technique. Lynda is constantly developing and creating new textile techniques using dyeing, sun printing, marbling, stamping, botanical prints, resist, discharge, non-printing, and marking. Lynda does online classes. She has a blog, which is Lynda Heines. Lynda, would you like to give us a little more about yourself? Oh, you're muted. She muted.
How did I get muted? Anyway, well, basically, you know, I started in 2011, and I had my own column for the local paper here in Indiana about local artists and crafters. And I met this dyer, and I had never really dyed, and she was a wonderful dyer, and I wrote an article about her. And like I quit shortly after her because I got so involved in dyeing that I just, you know, couldn't anyway. And then I created ice dyeing, and then from there I just kind of went crazy. And so I have this blog where I have all these tutorials, and my whole thing is, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. And I really like to encourage people and empower them to do some creative stuff. And I used to do paper stuff, you know, stuff on paper, but now I've moved to fabric, and I kind of stuck there. So what I'm talking about tonight is creating fabulous fabrics with resist. And you see here are just a few samples of some of the fabrics that I've created using resist. And I don't know if you've done resist, or if maybe you've done some, maybe hopefully you'll learn some new things from me tonight. First of all, one of the things that's important is, I'm gonna move this. I've got this thing with people's pictures on, it's in my way. Oh, there we go. The padded surface. This is one of the most important supplies for you to have so that you can pin your fabric down. You don't need it for everything, but the majority of the time you need to pin it down. There are lots of tutorials on the web about how to make padded surfaces. So you can check on that. I basically, for this one real quickly, is, you know, those foam pads that are like puzzle pieces that you put on the floor in the basement or something. I just covered it with batting and then put fabric over it. But there's all kinds of ways to have a padded surface.
Good tip.
So, and see, I had this trouble before when I did this. For some reason, it doesn't like, there it goes, it moved. Okay, then we're going to add color. Now, this is what I use. I work on fabric, so I like to work with fabric paints. There are a lot of well-known artists who use craft paints, and they really love craft paints, but I don't like to use craft paints because they were not made for fabric, but that's just my thing. The only thing on here is the ink, which is not a fabric paint, and I just wanted to use it just to show you. But if you have never done this, or you want to try it and all you have is craft paint, go ahead and try it and see, and if you really like it, maybe you could invest in some fabric paint. So I'm using a variety of paints here tonight. I do want to say I love using dyes, but I made this for people who maybe don't, want to get started in and just want to get started with paint. The first is Bombay ink, and it's basically, just if you're not familiar with it, it is just like water. Then we go to Jacquard Dynaflow, which is one of my favorite fabric paints. And Jacquard Dynaflow it's called Dynaflow because it's like a dye, only it acts like a dye, but it's a paint. Then we have artistic artifact fluid textile paints up here. And these are a little bit thicker, and they're really a really nice paint. Then I have Jacquard Textile and ProChem textile paints, which are real thick. So you go from watery to real thick. And I don't know what you can get in Australia, but that's what I use. So the first technique is a real basic one a lot of people have done, and you can use it with any kind of flour. Some people say, oh, use the cheapest flour. I use whatever flour I have. You mix 1 cup of water with 1 cup of flour, and you make the consistency of like a pancake batter. Then you pour this flour paste into stretch fabric. That's why you need to pin it. So when you pour it, then when you spread it, your fabric doesn't come up with you, come up with a spreader. You can use a scraper, credit card or whatever, and you want a thin layer. Now, when I first did this many years ago, I used my hands because I thought that would be fun. And not only was it a mess, but it wasn't thin enough. And it needs to be a thin layer. For one thing, it will take forever to dry if it's not thin, but also wherever the paste is on, the flour paste is on, is where the fabric will not have any paint. So I ended up with pieces of fabric that were just white, and that's not what I wanted. So anyway, you need to have thin layer. Then before it's dry, while it's still wet, you're going to mark it. And you can use all kinds of marks, variety of tools. I'm using a skewer here, but just whatever you have around you want to mark with. You can also stamp, and you can use regular stamps or any kind of objects. And I'm using an old dye container to make circles. Then you have to let the fabric dry. So, we let the fabric dry, and then we scrunch it. Now, the more you scrunch it, the more paint will end up on the fabric, because the paint is going to go in where those where the flour paste is scrunched off. Then you paint it. So if you look at this piece, you see that these lines here were done by skewers or by some kind of tool, which is, I'm sure, with my skewers. And then see all that crackling is from actually scrunching the fabric. So it's really kind of a neat thing. Okay, so now we've painted it. Now we have to let it dry, and you know how long it takes for paint to dry. So anyway, it just depends on how humid it is. And here in southern Indiana in the summer, it takes forever for anything to dry. So then you heat set the paint, and you always heat set it on the back, on the wrong side. You don't want to heat set it on the front. And you have to heat set paint, for those of you not familiar with working with paint on fabric, you have to heat set it or it won't stay. Unless you have to wash it. You have to wash this out to get the resist out. So then we'll wash it out, and I soak it in cool water for about 15 minutes. And then I place the wet fabric on plastic cover surface and scrape off the resist. And then you just throw the resist in the trash. Some people, and I used to do it until I decided to change my ways here, is I used to scrape it off into the container. And then you have this water with the paste in it, and you can't put it down the drain. And a lot of people said you shouldn't throw it out in the yard. So the best way to do it is just get as much off as you can, just scrape it off and throw it in the trash. And then the water won't, the water you can throw outside. Then you wash, dry, and iron it, and you get this result. Now, this was scrunched when it was dry, and that's all we did was scrunch it. And this is painted with Dynaflow. Now, you notice on the left-hand side, there's a lot of white, and that's because that part didn't get scrunched. So here on the right side, there's a lot of scrunching, so you got a lot more color. So it kind of shows you that it depends on what you want. This one's nice, but maybe I really want more color. So, and if I talk too fast, just slow me down. I kind of get involved in this, Okay, now this is one that I use both the scrunching and the marking. And these were painted with the India inks. And I have seen people use India ink, black India ink, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So that's why I wanted to try it with some of the India inks I have. It works. There's no no doubt about it that it works. The only problem is it's pretty expensive. It takes a lot of it. So to me, it's not really cost effective. But if you have some around like I did that I haven't used in a while, it's a great way of using it. The next resist is rice flour resist. And this is using rice flour, which you can either buy rice flour or grind rice. And we grind our own flour. So husband did that for me and ground my flour. What I found was it's very, very difficult to spread because it doesn't have any gluten in it. So it is real hard to spread. But what's really neat is it cracks when it dries. So this is what it looks like when it dries. You don't have to go and crack it, but it's hard to paint. And you really, you can't use thin paint, real thin paint, because it'll seep under the resist and it's going to cause the designs to disappear. So you kind of have to pat it. So I kind of pat it to paint it. And you're thinking, oh, this just is kind of ridiculous resist. And that's how kind of I felt when I first did it. I said, why am I even doing this? This is really a hassle, but there is a way I will do it. And I'll tell you about that in the future when we come up to the next several screens. Okay. So one thing about it, and another thing good about it, is real easy to remove. Once the paint is dry, it's easy to scrape off the resist. It just pretty much pops off. And again, it's like everything else. You heat set it on the wrong side and then wash, dry, and iron it. And this is what you get, which is pretty neat. But anyway, this was painted with Pro-Chem textile that I watered down just a little bit, because that textile, that's real thick. And so I just did a little bit of watering down. This one, you probably have glue around the house. And this is a fun technique, but you got to use washable glue and do not use regular glue. So what's nice about a lot of the school glue or the washable glue, they already have a little nozzle here that you can draw with it, and it's easy applicator. It's easier to use than being just in a jar. So here I have made my design. And then it's just like the other thing. You allow the resist, which in this place is the glue. I'm sorry. Then you paint it. Then you allow the paint to dry. You heat set it on the back. You soak and scrape, wash, dry, and iron. So they're all the same kind of technique. And don't go, oh my God, I'll never remember all that. All you have to do is come to my website, and I have all kinds of tutorials on these things. So, you can have notes from them. You'll know from there. And so here is the final results from that one. Let me go back to that one. Can I go back? I better not try there. Okay. And this I use Dynaflow, and I absolutely love Dynaflow because it looks like a dye. It acts like a dye. It is kind of a watery, and I call it dreamy. And I was so excited about this piece that I had, if you could see, there we go. I had my phone case made with it because I just love it. I mean, I just love this print, and I'm going to do some other stuff with that too. But anyway, I love the glue resist is great. And here it is with me writing. And the background is textile, the gray textile paint to cards. And you'll see how it is pretty flat. It's not watery or dreamy, like I say. This is another resist that I really love. I really love them all, so it's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, this is much easier to wash out than glue. The only thing is you need an applicator bottle if you want to write with it, because it just comes in this kind of a bottle, a container. So it's easier to wash out with glue than glue. And here I am writing on the fabric. You can also use stencils with it, and any stencils will work, any kind of stencils. I use a paper plate as a palette and a stencil sponge. Oh, no, I skipped one. Yeah, see, this skips around on me. Okay, sorry about that. Now here are a couple examples. On the left is the red, and it's with the textile paint using a stencil. And this one on the right is the blue using the Dynaflow. And you can, so in this one, I wanted to show you the difference of how it's the textile paint is pretty flat, where the Dynaflow looks like dye. Then wanted to show you 3 different resists with stencils, mainly kind of to show you that the rice flour is redeemable in my mind. The Jacquard Resist is the first one, and it's clean and perfect, and it's great. Then the middle one is Flour Resist, which is nice, but I love the rice flour resist, and it was easy to do with stencil. It was much easier to do, and I think that's what I will do with the rice flour from now on. I like it, but again, they all work, and it depends on what look you want. I like to show you again the comparison between these, just to give you some idea, between the resists and the paints. Here again, and you've seen these pieces, this is writing with the Jacquard Resist with using Dynaflow, and this is writing with the glue resist with the textile paint. So you see the difference in the background. You also see the difference in the writing, but my handwriting is awful. So you really can't go by my handwriting, and you can't read either one of them. But my point, because you can't read mine, it's not about the words, it's just about having text on fabric. This one, many of you may have tried it. I can't use my mouse on this. Freezer paper, and this is always a great way of using it as a resist. And you cut shapes out of the freezer paper. This one was cut from my with my cutter, my scan and cut, but you also can just cut it freehand. Then you iron the shiny side down on the dry fabric, and you really do want to be sure you iron down on the shiny side, and then or you will have problems with your iron. And then be careful when be sure you iron every little corner so that the paint doesn't flow under it. You do then paint it and allow it to dry. And once it is dry, then you can, I say, pull off stencil, which is the freezer paper. It becomes a freezer paper stencil. And you heat set it by ironing on the wrong side again. See, since you're already taking your resist off, so you take it off, and again you turn it on, iron it on the wrong side, wash, dry, and iron it. And this was painted with Artistic Artifact fluid acrylic, which is a nice paint. This is one time that Jacquard Dynaflow would not work. I've tried it. It goes right under the stencil, even under the freezer paper, even though, I ironed it down real good. So you need something that has a little body to it. Soy wax, when I did this presentation a couple months ago, I didn't include soy wax, and everybody asked about it afterwards. So I thought, well, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. This is another one of my favorites, and I guess they're all my favorites. You just need a few more things. You need, I always wash all my fabric. So pre-washing fabric is just something I do, because when you buy fabric, like in a store or wherever, people have been handling it. So they have, even the store clerks, and so they have, stuff on the grease on their hands or whatever. And I always like to have all that washed off. But you need soy wax, and I would buy soy wax from, if you have a Blix locally. Ours went out of business, but you can get it online from Dharma Trading or ProChem. But I'd be sure you get soy wax, and I'm not sure, be careful about people that are using it for candles, because it's an altogether different thing. Traditional batik, they use paraffin and other wax, and you will see it sold as batik wax. And I recommend you not use that. it is, for one thing, it's not sustainable. It smells terrible. I took a class many years ago outside, and I had such a headache. It was a 2-day class. I didn't go back the next day, and I don't get headaches. Soy wax is good for the environment and all that, and it's real easy to use, and it washes out easy, or it comes out easily. You need to scale it with temperatures. And again, like anything you do working with art, and you all know this, that it never goes back into the kitchen. Marking tools, brushes, cardboard carriers, this piece of cardboard that when I am using like a paintbrush and I'm moving it on to the other side of the fabric, I use the carrier so it doesn't drop wax on the rest of the fabric. And I don't have a slide for that. I should have made a slide for that. Then you have paint, an ironing board, and newspaper. And I'll show you more what we need to do with that.
Lynda, I
Yeah.
do have a question.
Sure.
Whoops, where'd it go? Hang on. I can't, is it Gilda? Be careful how and where.
It's Gyla.
I'm sorry.
Kyla?
Gyla, yeah.
Okay. Be careful how and where you store soy wax. I had a big bag under the sink in my studio. A rat got in it and ate the whole thing. It's a delicacy, I found out.
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't know that. Mine's in my dye studio, which is also known as the garage. And
Exactly. That's what.
and we have mice, but I haven't had any, it wouldn't. So I need to store it.
I never did before, and I haven't since seen. But oh my!
Wow.
Well,
Oh
I need to put the rest of mine in. I need to put it in a container. I will do that. I'll do that tomorrow.
It was actually inside the plastic bag, peering at me, and I was screaming. I opened the door.
Oh,
I
no.
pulled it out in the bag, pointed toward the door, and just said, "Go, go, go!" And it barely could walk. It was so huge from eating all that
Oh
soy.
my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny now. At the time, I was screaming.
I bet.
But yeah, so when I get it next time, I'm gonna definitely not in the house.
No.
But I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out what to store it in. But I was looking for a good suggestion if anybody ever encountered that.
Well, and I've got that sack, because that's the other sack. I bought 2 sacks when I bought those. And so that one's still there. And so I would definitely put it in a container.
Metal container.
Good.
Yeah. So
Yes.
nobody can get to it.
Yeah.
But-
Teresa Hughes has one. She says, "Hi, I'm Teresa Hughes near Brisbane, Australia." Okay. We got that. Do you have a question? Let's see. She's
Okay. Are we?
how to paint on silk.com. Hi, I'm Teresa. Okay. Let me see what Teresa, at the end of the presentation, you can ask questions and give tips. I think that would be a better thing to do for right now. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So here, those are what you need. And the soy wax melts between 110 and 140 degrees. And once it's it's good to have a temperature control, because and then once it's melted, you turn the temperature control to warm. I also place the tools in the melting pot to warm up. And then, I dip them in the melted soy wax. The fabric, this is another good reason, a good time that you really need to have your fabric pinned to the surface, so that when you put the soy wax, when you paint it on, like I'm using with this paintbrush, you need to, have it not move on you. So, so here I did is I painted the top, but before I go on, see, it's skipping slides on me. That's weird. Before I go on, I always check the back to be sure that it went all the way through. And what I do usually when I first start, I'll do a few little, whatever I'm doing, if it's circles or whatever, stripes, whatever I'm doing, then I'll pick it up. I'll just, peek at it to see if it went through. And like you can see here, it went through. So I'm all set and it's plenty hot because you want to be sure the wax is warm enough to penetrate. Once the soy wax is dry, just paint over the fabric. And I'm using Dynaflow here. So the wax doesn't take but a couple minutes if it's that long. Now, once the fabric's dry, you can proceed with the wax removal. And I'll tell you about it in the heat setting and washout and all that. Or you can continue to add another layer of soy wax. So I decided that I would use this biscuit cutter to make circles on top of those stripes I made. Now, if you are layering, be sure you start with a lighter color. If you start with a dark color, you won't be able to see it. So once the soy wax, once those circles are dry, then you can add another layer of paint if you'd like, or you can stop, whatever. And then I added another layer of wax with a big container circle thing. And then once the soy wax it was dry, I added another layer of paint. So we just, we can only go so much, but we can. Okay, it skipped on me. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Okay, another layer of paint. You have to be careful about, if you know about fabric, you can only put, it only has so many areas that the molecules of paint can be on. So, you can't keep doing this forever, but you can do it for a while. So this was my final layer. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Now, once the fabric is dry, cover the ironing board with newspaper. You place your fabric on it and then cover it with an additional newspaper or newsprint or computer paper or something that will soak up. You can do paper towels, but that's to me, it's a waste. But anything that will soak up the wax, because you're going to iron over the paper until all the wax is removed. And you need to change newspaper as needed. I also recommend that you not use a good iron. And if you're using your good ironing board, be sure you cover it real good. And again, this is all from experience. So anyway, and then again, once the wax is done, once you got most of the wax out, turn it over, iron on the back, because again, we have to heat set the paint, and then you wash, dry, and iron. And so that's my finished piece. So you see the three colors. This color didn't show that well, but it is, anyway, we'll move on. Okay, here's another sample. And this is 3 layers of wax. It's 3 colors of Dynaflow. So I have turquoise first and then a dark blue. And I could have stopped there. And sometimes I think maybe I should have, because I'm not real happy with this piece. Then I waxed the whole thing, put it in the freezer for 15 minutes, cracked it, and then painted the whole thing with black. And then I'm going, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. And then I let it dry, and that's what I got. So it's because the black only comes through where the cracks are. So if you, after the 15 minutes, if you crack it a whole bunch, you'll have a lot of black. So it just depends on how much you want. Now, come on. See, it's yeah, there we go. See, it's skipping every other. I do like this one. This is 4 layers and 4 colors. So this was, wax, and then it was yellow, and then wax and red, and wax and another red, and then all over wax, and then black. So it just really gives you a lot of texture, a lot of depth. I really like that piece. Another resist a lot of people don't think about is layering fabric resist. And here was a piece that I went ahead and put a piece of fabric under it, and then went ahead and did this was the jacquard resist. I wrote over it with that piece of fabric under that. Now, a lot of people will just have a piece here under here that they call it their printing cloth. And that way it takes paint and they can use it for something or other. But I wanted to, because I wanted a companion piece for this. So I had an extra piece here, so I put it under there. And so this is what I got. So on the right side is the top piece, is the Dynaflow, which you've seen before, that I wrote with Jacquard Resist. And this is the piece that was sitting under it. And what's great about it, it gives me a companion piece, but it also prevents me wasting all that paint. And anyway, so I think that's neat. Here it is with the soy wax. And the right-hand side is the top layer, and the left is the bottom layer. And I don't know if, how many of you do jelly printing, but the second print, or the ghost print, is always my favorite. And this kind of reminds me of a ghost print, because I'm seeing more colors. And I love how it looks watery. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I like it better than the top piece. But you never know what you're going to come up with. And that is it. Love to hear questions. All of these pieces, these I didn't, this was made with freezer paper that I cut out, and this was Tupperware lids. Anyway, let's see. Oh, I want to be sure. I got lots of information and tutorials on my blog at lyndaheines.blog. And I'm open for questions. Would love to hear from you, whatever, and suggestions or whatever.
All right. All the people that are attending, if you want to unmute, we'll start the questions. Let's see. Can we get Lynda, you want to take down your share, and then we can have a full screen.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see what happened. How can I get rid of that? If I got rid of that, is that, let's see. I can't find the where in the world is the share thing? Is this on this thing? Stop video? No.
Hover down to the bottom
of
your screen. Just hover.
Well, what happened is I've got all you people in the bottom here. And I cannot pull you up. This is weird, because usually I could find it. Oh, it's, you know where it is? It's right. It's the top. They moved it to the top for me.
There we go.
Weird. There we go.
All right. Well, thank you, Lynda. That was really great. I learned a lot, because I'm not a fabric textile person, but wow, now I want to get going and have some fun. Does anybody have any questions? Anna, would you like to have some questions?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm sorry I was late. I had a hard time figuring out how to get into this.
All right. I'm going to ask a question of all of you, because I know you're all textile artists, and I'm going to start with Denise. If you can kind of give us a little background on what you do and how you do it, and what your comments would be to Lynda.
Well, really, I'm more or less just getting started. In fact, I don't even know how to sew yet. But I got started making fabric postcards. This is one that's kind of in.
Oh, lovely.
But I want to learn how to do things and make the fabric my own.
Okay, that's a good question put out to any of this group. Allie, would you kind of like to talk about yourself and what you do as a textile artist?
Okay, I was going to go back into my room and then pick something down quick. Can you ask somebody else a question?
Okay, all right. Tina, would you like to tell people what you do with your silk, and maybe give some suggestions and some comments to Anne and Denise, who are looking for different ways to do things?
Well, first of all, I want to say how delightful it was to be with a bunch of arty-farty textile girls. And the presentation was fabulous. And I just feel like, I can't tell you, like I work from home, it's COVID, it's all of that stuff. And I feel like I've just been hugged in a cocoon of gorgeousness, watching all of these colors and techniques and everything that you do. And it's like, oh, I just feel so excited. And it's only, 11 o'clock in the morning. I could have a cocktail right now. I'm so excited.
That's great.
So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh,
It's been
great.
fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm a silk artist. I've been painting on silk for 40 years now.
Wow.
And I've been teaching people all over the world, traveling the world, and now I do it all over Zoom with videos, online video courses. But yes, I've been doing resist-based silk painting for many, many years. But now I do sort of freeform painting, as you can see with the scarf I'm wearing. And in the background in my photo, you can see one of my mannequins there wearing one of my
Yes, I do see
hand-painted
that,
silk tops and a big
Beautiful.
floaty coat. Yeah, I do all kinds of things. And yeah, I just love being able to create. And I think we're in a group of people around the world who can create something out of practically nothing. And as you showed, Elmer's glue on a bit of fabric, you know, and a bit of dye. And so from that, you've ended up with a piece of tactile deliciousness. But also what I love to do, I show people how to then turn that into, add that to coffee mugs and handbags and print it on many, many different
And, you know, like putting on here, but
Exactly.
yeah. I mean, I make
Yes, all that.
purses and stuff like that. Yeah. Because this is just, that's the thing.
There's no end to it. And I think like for decades, it's been hard. Every single artist, it's been hard to make money from your art.
Yeah.
But I think now with the technologies that are available to all of us, no matter what we're doing, like I've even printed notebooks with my silk designs on the front of them and sell them on Amazon. So there's just so many things that we can do now to bring in little revenue streams that help artists who, you know, you might not sell a painting for $2,000, but you can have little streams that trickling money in. You only had to make it once, but now it's being sold over and over and over. And I love that concept for all artists. But just to see all the skill that you used today in all of those pieces, it was just so exciting. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. One of the things that I really love is, when I create little art pieces, and anything that I create, I have to use my fabric. I mean, I'm really into not using commercial. You know, if I use commercial, it's because I've dyed it. You know, I've added something to it, but there is beauty. But I started when there wasn't a lot of neat fabric. I mean, there's lots of neat fabric now. So, but anyway, but that's neat. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, Allie. Oh, I'm sorry. Allie,
Well,
would you like to tell us?
as well as like Tina was saying, as well as selling my paintings and my thread art, I do commissions and I also sell them at shows. But I also do cards and things like that are smaller items, and I like to sun dye.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know if you could see.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I follow Lynda's blog.
You do? Well,
Yeah, I
great.
do, Ellie. So I think I talked to you a couple of times because I had some failures and I didn't know why I was having failures, but this is another one. And this is called sun dyeing.
Well, you know, talking about, I call it sun printing. We're
Oh,
going
sun
to do that.
printing then,
We're
yeah.
going to do that in April.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here.
okay. So
So-
that's and so I use this fabric in my cards, and then what I do is I embellish on the top with my thread.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Oh, great.
Because, you know, like as you say, not everybody's in the market for a picture that you spent 15 hours on, and you know, you would like to get your time and money out of it. So I do little things like that.
That's neat.
Good. Gilbert, do you have something to say about what you do and introduce yourself? Yep. Would you like to tell us about what you do in the textiles?
Are you talking to me again?
No, I'm talking to Gilbert.
Oh,
Yeah, the lady from Tennessee. Is your audio on?
That is someone else.
Yeah, okay. Anna, would you like to talk about what you do?
Well, I just play. I don't sell. If I sell anything, it's for charity, and I just have fun playing. So I just thought it would be fun to watch the class. And I've been doing the postcards, and so I just
Mhm.
thought it would be fun to see what you're doing with different fabrics and things, making your own. And so, but yeah, I don't just play around. And a lot of times I leave my things out for people to find. I don't sell it.
That's
So,
great.
The picture behind you, is that some of your work?
Yeah, it is.
It's very nice.
That was something that I drew.
Mhm.
And then I took it into a computer program and added color and
Wow,
did different things with it.
it's very nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thanks.
Are
Thanks for
you,
coming.
where are you located?
Medford, Oregon.
Oh, gosh. Oh, you know my sister's coffee shop.
What's
Cascade
that?
Coffee.
Cascade Coffee?
Yeah, Tekla, my sister
Yeah.
owns it, and she's also an artist and a
They're
decorator.
gonna call on me to,
Okay,
Nice.
they're gonna
well,
be
thank you.
calling.
Gilbert, are you there to talk to us?
Okay, so you can't do my.
I don't
back.
think she is. Okay.
She's got her husband.
Yeah. Priscilla, would you like to tell us about what you do?
Well, I like all forms of textile art. I love experimenting with new media. I've done stamping, I've done resists. I've been playing with indigo this last week.
Oh,
And
wow.
Love it.
Ooh,
Love it.
beautiful.
so, that's the piece I'm working on. But yeah, a lot of fabric collage with lots of different pieces. I love painting fabric. I use the high straight paints that Gloria Loftman uses, which are similar to the Seta Color transparent paints. Yeah, I'll give any technique a go.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Paula?
Well, I like to dye fabrics, and then I do everything I can think of afterwards.
wow.
So this is a batik with Dynaflow.
Wow.
That's
And
great.
then because I printed it upside down and didn't realize it was upside down, I had to cut it all apart and then
Oh, wow.
rebuild it as a full piece. So all of the pieces all around it are individual batiked pieces. There's a little bit of commercial, but most, when you batik something really random, when you cut it up, it makes amazing little strips in a strip quilt. This is another one that's not finished yet,
Oh, wow.
but it's the same
Beautiful.
feel as that
That's
one.
great.
But I've gotten really into carving stamps at a Speedy Carve. And so the backs of them have a lot of the stamping.
Oh, those are nice.
But I have a question for Lynda. So when you do the soy wax and you're all done and you want to do the crackling, and we already know the freezing doesn't work because way too much of the black or dark color goes everywhere. What if you took all the wax off and then did the flower resist?
You could do that. You could do that. I don't see why not. See, I don't have any problem with the black because if you just, as far as freezing it, if you just do a little crackling, you won't get as much black. But as far as if you're taking off let's see, if we take off the thing and then we put, there's no reason why you couldn't do that. You could just go ahead and iron it off and then put the flower on it. And yeah, it's another step. It'll take a while because the flower takes a while to dry, but that's a great idea. Maybe I'll try doing that. That's the only problem is people do stuff like you just do, say, and then I end up having to do it. I cannot stand it. Somebody suggested something, oh gosh, don't suggest anything, I'll have to do it. So anyway, but no, that is a good idea. If you don't like the black, if you feel like there's too much black, and I'm not an expert in doing that because I know I've seen other people do it and they did a better job than I did. But anyway.
Well, I'll tell you something else I do because the paints are really expensive and you squeeze out however much and you paint it and there's always a little bit left and it's been mixed with water or other paint. So you can't put it back in the jar. I just collect them all. And by the end of the day, I have a pretty decent dark paint and that's what I use for my crackle.
Oh, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Because it then has all the colors I've been using in the painting. So it has to go with it.
Right. Even if it's black, it still goes with it. Really, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
That's great. Now, I don't water down. I usually don't water down my paint. except I did on that one. But I usually don't. So, but again, I probably had some that I poured out, but then I try to get it back in the jar, but then it's hard to get it all in the jar. And that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Good.
Great.
Thank you.
Anna, you came in and welcome. Would you like to tell us where you're from and a little bit about what you do in textiles?
I already did.
Yes. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Ann,
oh, a different
yes,
Ann.
Ann, not Anna. Ann, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just didn't want to speak over anyone.
No, I was looking at Anna's name and looking at you. So you're Ann. Hello.
Hi, Lynda.
Hey.
Yeah, so I'm in Lakeland, Florida,
Mhm.
and I'm just a newbie to fabric art. I say a newbie because I haven't been doing it that long, nor that intensely or, often, but I certainly have been admiring it and love what Lynda does. I follow her blog and just learn so much about so many different things and love it. But we met, I'm not sure exactly how we got together. I started a Facebook group for postcards. I have a bad back. That's why you see me in bed. This is my normal, this is my office pretty much to support my back. And when I started sewing again, I was hoping to do art quilts and quickly learned doing a baby quilt that was even too much strain for me. And so I thought, oh, I don't want to give up this journey of learning how to explore art on fabric. And I'm sure I ran across someone that was doing postcards, quilted postcards, but quilted postcards wasn't enough for me. I wanted art. I wanted to really use different mediums and explore different techniques. And I thought, well, I'll do that with a postcard, but I can't call it quilted postcards. I've got to call it something else. So I call it postcard fabric art. And I don't know, again, how I found Lynda or she found me, but
I found you and then I had to beg to get into your group.
well, that's pretty,
it's a pretty, special group, and you have to have to know somebody almost to get in there.
I'm very careful. I don't want the masses for the masses' sake. I want people that hopefully want to participate. And we've got 1,300 people in our group now.
Wow, that's a big group.
And 1,300 people do not participate. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing because I don't know how I could keep up with it. But there's a core group of us maybe that kind of ebbs and flows. But I would say, what would you say, Lynda? 20 to 30 that are pretty.
Yeah, pretty. And I haven't been real, I go through spells and I participate, and then I'll throw something in there just to show I am doing something.
Well, someone such as Lynda, who was really truly a textile artist before she ever joined our little group, I don't even expect them to be very when they already have that so much background in the broader knowledge base. I don't even expect them to be real active because goodness sakes, and I just hope my goal truly was to learn. I thought if I can get people together that want the same thing, I can learn from them and I'll share what I know. And also as possibly a stepping stone, there's just so much more to quilting is beautiful in and of itself. You don't have to do anything extra, but so often it seemed like I talked to quilters and their automatic thought was, oh, I could never do that. And I'm like, well, why not? Yes, you can. And so I kind of thought if we could start small and something you don't care, you really got to have that attitude. If you don't care if you mess up, I don't think anybody makes a mistake. I think anything can be corrected. You just keep playing. But at any rate, that was my philosophy. You start small and learn it all. So that's me. Thank you for letting me introduce myself.
It's a good philosophy. And I think all of us have had our starting points and have grown from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. But it always amazes me when I get together with women from all over the world, how textile arts are such an important part of our fabric and conversation, because we have been doing it since time. And we see all different versions of that and extensions of that depending on the culture that we come from. So it's really great to see all of you women sitting here with your different techniques and your different sense of design, sharing that knowledge. I think that's just a wonderful thing. And I would like to say to Tina and to Priscilla and to Allie and all of you, I really would love to have you send me some information about your groups or the things that you would like to see that Susan and I can create another meetup from with different textile artists, or you doing it. We would love to be able to orchestrate that and organize it and put it on our meetup. So what I want to say is let this not be the last one that we do. Lynda is going to schedule, and I'm going to let her tell you about the next 2 classes. And again, I really encourage you to send me suggestions, or if you would like to do one meetup yourself, that would be absolutely wonderful. So Lynda, I'm going to turn it back to you, and you can tell them.
You didn't get everybody though. We didn't talk to everybody. I want to hear, what about Debbie and Donna and
Donna, are you still
Leah?
there? I don't see your picture. Oh, there she is. Debbie, okay, hi.
we don't want to leave anybody out. Donna's not.
I
there.
didn't see their picture, so I apologize, ladies. I didn't mean to leave you out. Debbie, would you like to tell us about yourself and what you enjoy about textile?
I'm trying to tell Troy, just a minute.
Okay.
And so I have been on quiet, and you know me, Michelle, I just like to just watch and enjoy, and I just appreciate the energy that all of you bring. Virtual. He's always like, gotta say something over there.
Oh.
So I'm good. I don't do a lot of textiles. I don't know a lot of things. Stop.
Oh, you do too.
Okay,
Thank
you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
I've seen Debbie participate in a lot of programs that we have done, not only through Texas Bluebonnets, but from the IAA. And she always says this, oh, I don't know, I can't do it. And then bingo, there she is doing it. So it's great. I really appreciate that. And Donna is one of our kind of co-developers and supporters. And what do you think about the program, Donna?
I had no idea. I heard you talking about it, and I thought, oh, that Michelle, she's a little weird anyway. I had no idea this was a thing, let alone international. So it was very, very interesting to watch and hear. And I'm sure I don't even get half of what you were saying, but very interesting. Very interesting. So thank you.
Yeah, Donna's a well-known pastel artist, and she's also a curator in the gallery. So she knows what art is. She just doesn't maybe know what textile art is.
Exactly. I don't know anything about textile art, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah. Good.
That's great.
Great. Did I miss anybody else?
Yeah, you've got Gillian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isabel, go ahead. Tell us
Yes,
about your textile art, and we know you're and where you're located and what you do.
Who are you talking to?
You.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I talked to you before about an issue I had with soy wax, but I didn't tell you what I do. And I've been a textile artist, a quilt artist for, I don't know, 15 years maybe. And several years ago, I decided I wanted to use fabric that I'm creating, and I still have an incredible stash of commercial fabric, and eventually it'll get used or donated or whatever. I'm not worried about it. So I do a lot of dyeing using Procyon dyes. And I've done some silk dyeing using color hue. I haven't done the traditional silk because then with the steaming and all, I'd love to find a way to do that without steaming. This is just an example of the kind of pieces I create. This is my last big finish, and it's a bee stomping on a flower in the backyard. I took a photo and converted it to the theme for the challenge was endangered. So I talked about the bees, and it's all my own. It's all hand dyed fabric that I used in that. Something I've been doing and you name it. I mean, I've used it on fabric, and I'd always love to learn something new. This is a banner that I'm working on now, and it started off as 18 by 18-inch pieces of fabric that I painted mostly with acrylic paint, some with acrylic ink. Chose my palette, did blue with a little orange, orange with a little blue, cut them up and then joined them together. And what I'm doing now is trying to blur the edges of the joins from square to square. And it's nice having some handwork.
Yeah.
You know,
I
That's
like
neat.
that.
I haven't done a lot of handwork for a while, so I'm having fun with that. And I have a couple of challenges I want to get started on. I've got my ideas and it's time to get working on them. I have a question. I really enjoyed the presentation, Lynda.
Thank you.
And I enjoy reading your newsletters when they come. It's probably, I subscribe to maybe half a dozen different quilt artists, textile artists, newsletters. And I'll say yours is the juiciest.
Oh, thank you.
Really, it's
Thank
the one
you.
that I really get something out of. You talk, like, it's so funny. You were reading my mind. I wanted to get back to doing some sun printing, and you had a whole thing on sun printing. And then when I went to your blog, you had way more on your blog about sun printing, and it was great. So no, truly, it's
Thank you.
excellent. It's excellent. You're very generous with your time and your knowledge, and I really thank you for that. I really appreciate that. So what I would like to know is all these techniques you showed us today.
Yes.
Is there any that you would recommend for silk? I have a lot of silk.
I was just going to say, you were talking about, you were worried about steaming silk. Dynaflow and using the resist. In fact, I even have a tutorial that is a very basic one. I think I even have a video on it that I use resist with Dynaflow. So you can do those flowers with like jacquard. I would use jacquard resist.
I have, yeah.
And
okay.
and put it on silk, since you're into drawing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Tina,
Of course, I love color hue. I have a color hue class, so yeah.
I met Marlene Glickman in Houston in 2017.
Yeah.
She was doing a presentation, and that's how I got turned on to that. It was
fun.
Fun
It is
stuff.
fun.
But I'll look for yours.
I've done a lot of local classes on color hue because it was a way of getting people, that was before COVID, it was a way of getting people to do dyeing without having to deal with real dyeing. And you know, they just really, they loved it. You know, they could go home and take something with them. But you can use that, and you can also, you know, I don't do the steaming, and I don't know, Tina, do you do steaming on yours, or what do you use for your silk?
I've been using steam set silk dyes.
Yeah. Was it the green dyes?
And I've always used a silk steamer. But now I've been trying different things over the years, you know, because people hate steamers, but I show people how to steam at home with a bamboo steamer. And so that makes it really easy. You just have to, you know, if you paint your silk, you just roll it up. I've got videos about that on YouTube if anyone's interested.
Oh, I'm very interested in looking at your video.
That's great.
Can I ask a question? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Lady in Purple, but I think it's Giabetta.
Gyla? Gyla.
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 Oh,
that's just all together. Gyla Bet Greer. So Gyla.
Okay. The photo that you showed on your phone.
Yes.
You posted that photo on a group somewhere recently?
No.
Oh, because I was sure I had seen it somewhere in the last week.
No, I haven't.
You know, every idea is not unique. So it could be
I'm just actually starting to show it because there was a local show that always likes to be the first to show new work, and so
fabulous.
I honored that.
Oh, fabulous.
But now I'll show it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was lovely. And I just watched a video about bees just before I came on here. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, wonderful, you know, bees.
They're
people
fascinating.
alive.
They're fascinating. I took a couple of photos in my backyard and they were live. You know how there's that feature on the phone, and I swear I was amusing myself for it seemed like hours, just flipping onto that photo, watching it crawl out of the middle of the flower, and then
Beautiful.
going back and because it was on the live thing. It was so much fun. Anyway,
Very good.
we
All
get
right.
strange.
What about Debbie? Did Debbie talk to us yet?
Yeah. Debbie, are you still there? I don't know if she's still there.
I think
But
she
she did
went.
talk and she said, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I put
Ms.
my the URL to my oh, I don't have it fancy like Anna did, but I've got LyndaHeines.blog if you don't know where I'm at,
Mhm.
and come on over.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay.
I will post your blogs, and Tina, if you have a blog, if anybody else has any information that they would like to send me so I can post them, I'd be more than happy to do that. So please feel free to send me that information and, you know, what you want to
Can you
let
put-
people know.
Can you
Let's
put
see.
your
Put it in
email
the
back
chat.
up again?
Okay,
Can you put that link up again
okay.
to contact you?
Right, send it to mq.bluebonnet@gmail. Bluebonnet@gmail. Yeah.
Whoops.
And maybe we should remind everyone to download the chat where everyone's been putting their
Yes.
links.
Yes.
You can download the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Okay,
Oh,
go,
yeah.
go,
That's what it's there for.
I
go
just
to the,
learn something every day.
go to the lower right on the chat column, open up your chat, go down to
Okay.
the bottom,
Okay.
and you see those little dots, three
Yeah.
tiny little, okay.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
Click on that, save chat,
Oh my gosh,
I know.
isn't that
Oh,
neat?
there it is. Okay.
and it'll
cool.
show up in your downloads or maybe in
Yeah,
your
I see
zip
it. Yeah.
folder.
Wherever your downloads go.
I
Just
just
hit
saved it.
today's date. Mhm. So
Well,
mq.bluebonnet,
Gosh,
BLUEBONNET.
Yeah, I'll put it, do you want me to put it in the chat? I will.
Yeah,
That would
please.
be great.
Okay.
good, that's good. Yeah, once you do that, then I'll download that again. Okay. Etched in thread, oh, good.
Sorry, I got it. Look, it's etched in thread by Ali.
And my own personal one, I also put in there, which is,
Okay.
Okay, everybody's got theirs in
Great.
there?
Can we bring that up afterwards, or when you go off, will that go off?
there you go.
Okay, I'm going
Has
to,
everyone finished?
I'm going to save
Say
mine.
what
then.
they need to say.
I'll save it again.
Okay,
I've been
let's
saving.
see.
Anne, did you put yours in the
What's that?
fabric the group? The group
Yeah,
that's so hard to
somebody
get
did.
into?
Somebody did. I don't
Because now
remember.
I'm
The
intrigued.
postcard.
I have
And the
Ali's, Tina, have you, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put mine in the beginning, and I'd like to apologise for that because on other Zoom chats that I've been on, people put notes in the chat,
Oh,
and in this group, I had no idea that it was going to just be read out. So
oh,
I apologise for that. I didn't realise that's how this group worked.
okay.
Oh, well, you don't have to apologize.
No.
Oh well, I
And-
have. There you go.
And you know, probably Anna lets you guys in faster than she did me. So, you know,
Very exclusive club.
And what do you mean by that? That she should have reviewed us a bit more before she let us in?
no, I had to beg her to let me in her group.
Oh,
I mean, it was just unbelievable. You know, she'll probably just let you guys right in. So, but,
That's great.
But let's not tell Lynda how easy it is for you all.
Send your
it's a good
resume.
group.
oh my God.
Anyway,
Denise Miller, I know Denise. I know the name. Where's Denise? And
Where's Denise?
and I saw Anna.
Oh.
Anna.
yeah,
Love for-
Anna's
lo-
here.
Yeah.
Anna.
Oh, are you guys on the postcard one?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
Denise.
am I.
And
I am too.
Anna, I haven't met you. Hello, dear
nice to meet you,
Say your
Loeffler.
last name.
It's Anna
Loef-
Loeffler.
Loeffler.
Oh,
Nice to meet you. I know
Nice
I've
to meet you
spoken with
too.
you in chat. And then somebody else is too.
Mhm.
Linda is. Denise. There's Denise. Okay.
Yes,
I know
Denise.
Denise.
Allie.
Priscilla,
Allie.
you are also?
Allie.
And Allie? Okay. Allie Barnett?
No, Brian.
Allie Bryan. Okay, okay. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
I think I'm on your group too.
I think you are too. I was gonna ask.
And I'm so sorry I haven't posted much. I'm so sorry.
You know what?
I will now.
Nobody's gotten in
Kick her
trouble
out.
yet for not posting.
Kick her out.
It's all good. Well, yeah,
Okay.
I really tried to, I like, if I know there's an artist that is doing things in a blog or doing something like this, I try my best to try to promote it within my group because, you know, I want everybody to know and take advantage. So
Great idea.
yay, Lynda, and yay that everybody that's
Thank
in
you.
there saw it, that you're here. Good for
Okay,
you.
great.
And I missed it. I was
I
out.
know. I
I don't want to
messaged
think about
you.
it. I
I
don't want to
messaged you. Well,
yeah, and Linda, I'm gonna need your download because because I got in at 8:58, I think. I don't have anything that came before I got in the
Okay.
chat download chat. So if you would share that with me, thank you.
I
ma'am.
might.
Oh yeah, well, you're gonna make me beg you.
Wait, yeah, beg me for it.
Okay.
Anyway,
I will.
you want to talk now, I don't want to, just take over this whole thing, but we had talked about me doing a couple other sessions.
Yeah.
And maybe we can kind of vote on what people are interested in. The next one I was planning in April.
From howtopaintonsilk.com
and
Fab Designs.
What have we got?
In April, we were talking about sun printing because it's time, here comes the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fall, I want to do leaf printing. And there are a lot of ways you can do leaves and different kinds of leaves and stuff and things you could do with the leaves besides just print them on a piece of fabric. So I thought about another one. I also thought about ice dyeing and giving you information on that. I won't give you at all since I teach a class on it, but I could give you some information. But, my schedule or what we had scheduled is that for April, I will do sun printing if people are interested in doing that. So that's something. And, I don't know how, if you want to, anyway, whatever you guys decide.
Do you still want to do one in March? Because that's what we had you down for.
No, I said I couldn't do it in March.
Okay, all right.
You have me down for April.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.
Open to suggestions for Lynda. Let her know what you would, if you're interested in doing the ice printing in April.
No, sun
Is
printing.
that right? No, not ice printing.
Sun printing.
I would go to that. I would do it.
Sun printing?
I'm interested in the sun printing very much.
Okay, all righty.
And I also like to hear from those who are doing, because Allie, you said you're doing sun printing.
Yeah, that's what I showed you, but I can only really do it in the summer because we've got like 6 feet of snow outside.
Oh yeah, you're
We're
yeah.
in Canada.
See, no, we don't have 6. We have cold though. So yeah, no, that's why
it does get bright sunlight, but I don't think it's intense enough
Talking to them.
to do the sun printing.
none unless it's hot. It needs to be hot.
It helps, yeah.
Yeah.
And no.
Well,
But
that's what
I did this in the summer, what I showed you today. I did back in August.
right. Well, that's what we talk about. I thought about April because that's just the beginning of our summer sort of, and even sometimes April is early, but it's a good thing to start, early thinking about it and then, doing it. But yeah, I do a lot of mine in August because it is so hot.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing to do with kids too. When my granddaughters were small and they'd come to visit, we'd go out onto the patio and they would just have so much fun.
Oh yeah. And it's fun, finding stuff to print with and yeah.
So is the leaf printing that you're talking about, is that what they call eco?
No.
Oh, it's not.
No, eco is stinky.
Oh, is it?
Eco is when you put stuff on fabric or paper and you put them in bundles and you boil them in stuff and smelly stuff. And I mean, they have all kinds of, you don't have to do it. I took a weekend of that and that was enough for me. You know, there's some things like rust dyeing I'm never going to do again. You know, just a lot of things that, you know, a lot of people get into stuff, but you know, those things, especially smelly stuff. But no, no, this is leaf printing. It's printing with leaves, but it also includes making stamps with leaves. So you not only, you know, so then you always have leaves. It's also preserving leaves. So, you know, it's the whole gamut of, and it's also collecting leaves and, you know, deciding on what you do. And again, I've blogged a lot about it, but I also have other stuff that I haven't done yet.
Sounds interesting. Do you do any silk screening?
I do like Thermofex screening. I've done some silk screening.
Yeah, because that's something I'm always interested in learning more about.
Is anybody here that works with silk? Anybody here? Because I'm a thread painter and I sometimes paint my background lightly. I'm looking at, I was following a lady that does it with watercolor on silk. Has anybody had any experience of that? Watercolor
Just sounds
paint?
like basic silk painting. That is watercolor technique. It's dyes, water and silk.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly what she's doing. But ladies, I want to say goodbye. It's been absolutely delightful. I've got another appointment to go to. Have a spectacular evening or morning, wherever you are. And I hope to see you next time. And I'll be
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
down
you
under,
enough for
down under.
participating, Tina, and I hope to hear from you. Have
Oh,
a good
thank
day,
you,
as
Michelle.
they
Thank
say.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So you didn't tell about your program for next month to let them know what you're going to do in March. So
well, in March we have this is not textile painting. We are highlighting, because it's International Women's Month, we're doing a story about a very famous American painter called Georgia O'Keeffe. And we're asking you to, if you want to, you can either take her technique and paint something in the abstract, or you can have your favorite picture and talk about it. And it will be an open forum like what you're participating tonight. And it's on the meetup. And you just come in and we talk about Georgia O'Keeffe, which is kind of interesting because some of her designs would really be great to do in textiles, because she's one for color and abstraction, which I think could translate maybe into textiles. But
I have one. I have a postcard I've already
Yeah.
done several
Yeah.
years back, Georgia. Yeah.
Well, what really got me started with her was that she is the only woman in America who has sold a painting for $44 million.
Jeez.
That's a lot of money. And there's no other woman that's come close to that. I don't know how it is in Australia or in Canada, but women are now beginning to break the glass ceiling in the art world. And that's for textiles, for pottery, for sculpting, for fine painting, for printing, all kinds of things. We've always kind of been in that lower tier, but it's breaking up because people like us are getting together and exposing the creativity and the brilliancy of women artists. So we go forth, ladies. But anyway, if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I will say thank you to Lynda. And it's just been a marvelous evening meeting everybody from everywhere and exchanging wonderful ideas and creativity. I hope you will continue on our meetups when we've hosted and join us. And if you have suggestions for artists that you would like to see, please let me know, because we're willing to do that. And I think Susan, she's my partner in crime and co-host. It keeps us all flowing. And thanks Donna, because she's one of our biggest supporters. It's really great that she participates. And I hope again to see all of you in the not too distant future. And thank you, Lynda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been
Well, thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Lynda.
Good night.
Thank
you.
Good night. Thank you.
all right. Good night or good morning to
Bye.
those of you who are down and under.
Bye.
Bye-bye.